Okay, stop. Seriously, put the scissors down for 1 second. Not to cut, just don't toss that petunia in the compost pile yet. I know it looks rough, leggy, a little sad, maybe a few flowers left just barely hanging on. And I know what you are thinking, because it's what everyone thinks this time of the year. Well, it's an annual. This is just what happens. R.I.P. little buddy, and to the compost it goes. Here's the thing though, that's actually not true. Petunias aren't really annuals, not by nature anyway. They are what's called tender perennials. Yes, they are perennials. And tender perennials basically means left to their own devices in a warm enough climate, this plant would just keep growing year after year. Yes, true, year after year. The only reason it dies every winter in most of our gardens is because frost kills it, not because its little plant lifespan is naturally up. The garden center just sells it to you as an annual because, well, that's a kind of a genius business model when you think about it. Sell you the same plant every single spring and forever. So here is what we are doing instead. I'm calling this the infinite plant glitch because honestly, that's what it feels like the first time you do. 5 minutes, some scissors, a glass of water on your windowsill, and you can clone this exact plant, this exact designer variety. You paid good money for it. Yeah, so you can clone them into dozens of free copies. Let's get into it. Quick regional thing before we start snipping, because timing actually matters a lot here depending on where you are. If you are in the UK, the US or Canada, listen up. Cold weather is coming for this plant and it's coming faster than you think. So kind of need to act now, this week if you can. If you are in Australia, you are heading into spring, so relax. You got months before this is urgent. But bookmark this, because this technique is exactly the same when your autumn rolls around. And if you are somewhere with genuinely mild winters like parts of California or Texas, your petunia might actually survive outside just fine on its own. But I would still do this anyway. Honestly, think of it as an insurance policy. Because one surprise freak frost and you have lost the whole plant for nothing when this would have cost you 5 minutes. Okay, let's go take some cuttings. First thing, go look at your petunia to find a stem that isn't flowering. I know, your instinct is to grab the prettiest, most flowery bit because that's the part you love. That's the part that made you buy the plant in the first place. Don't. A flowering stem is spending all its energy on, well, flowering, showing off, making seeds, doing its whole reproductive thing. A non-flowering stem has all that energy sitting there free, ready to be redirected into growing roots instead. So go find one of the plainer, leafier bits. Less glamorous, way more useful. Once you have found your stem, you are going to snip a section about 3 to 4 inches long, right below a node. And a node is just the little bump or junction on the stem where a leaf is attached. This bit matters more than people realize because that node is actually where the plant's rooting hormones are most concentrated. It's basically the plant's factory setting for grow roots from here. Cut randomly in the middle of a bare stretch of stem, you are working against the plant instead of with it. Now strip off the leaves on the bottom half of your cutting. You want that lower section bare, just stem, no leaves. Leave a few leaves up top. Sure, the plant still needs those to photosynthesize. But any leaf sitting below the waterline is just going to rot in the winter and make everything murky and gross. So off they come. That's it. That's your cutting. Genuinely, the whole process takes about as long as it took me to explain it. Now grab a clean glass, fill it with room temperature water and pop your cutting in. Making sure that bare stem section, including that node we talked about, is fully submerged, but keep the leaves up top out of the water. Put the glass somewhere bright, like a sunny windowsill, but not scorching direct sun all day, because that can actually stretch the cutting out before it's even had a chance to root. And here is why we are doing water and not soil. By the way, especially if this is your first time doing this, with water you can literally see what's happening. No guessing whether it's rotted, no digging around to check, no anxiously willing it to work. The roots just show up right in front of you, which honestly is oddly satisfying to watch. Now here is the hard part. And I mean, this is genuinely the hardest part of the entire process. You have to leave it alone. Don't keep pulling it out to check on it every 5 minutes like it's a lasagna in the oven.
Don't keep pulling it out to check on it every 5 minutes like it's a lasagna in the oven.
Change the water every few days so it stays fresh and doesn't get gross. Sure, but otherwise just let it sit there and do its thing. Within about 1 to 2 weeks, you are going to start seeing these little white roots poking out from that node, right where we made our cut. And once these roots are a good inch or two long, that cutting is ready for soil. So fast forward. Winter happens. You have got this little rooted cutting sitting quietly on your windowsill the whole time, basically just chilling, minding its own business. Once spring rolls around and the frost risk has properly passed, you pot it up into some proper potting soil in a small pot to start with and give it a good drink of water. And here is the bit that genuinely gets people every time. That scrawny little 3-inch cutting, when it's got soil under it and proper spring sunshine, and I mean takes off. Give it about 2 months of a real growing season, and you will not recognize it as the same sad little clipping from your windowsill. It fills right out, flowers just as big and just as full as the original plant you bought. Because remember, that's exactly what it is. It's not a knockoff or a lesser version. It's a genetic, identical clone of your original petunia. Same flower color, same pattern, same everything, because you didn't grow it from seed. You grew it from a literal piece of the original plant. So here is your actual payoff. You bought that petunia once, just once, and from that single plant, you can keep producing free, identical copies of it, indefinitely, every single year, forever, without ever going back to the garden center and paying full price again. That's the glitch. That's the whole trick. You are basically hacking the business model. If this saved a plant you were genuinely about to toss in the compost or saved you a bit of cash next spring, hit subscribe. Because there is a lot more of this outsmart the garden center stuff coming. And tell me in the comments, what's the one plant in your garden you would actually be gutted to lose forever? I want to know which ones are worth cloning. Alright, go rescue your petunias. I'll see you in the next one.